Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of 6 for 6. Yes, we are cranking out episodes left and right for the World Cup thus far. And I'm very happy at the rate that we're putting out episodes relatively quickly, allowing you to preview all the matches that are happening today on the World Cup. I know Saturday is going to be a little bit of rough for me, but we have our Empty to Pitch show, and that will kind of take cover the preview of recapping this week and all the World Cup matches that we've seen thus far. But here on 6 for 6, we're looking at the 4 games today: United States, Australia, Turkey versus Paraguay, Scotland versus Morocco, Brazil versus Haiti. A lot of great stuff going on today. I like these matchups. I love the USA matchup versus Australia, and that kicks off the day. Very, I would say, strong. You wish it was a later slot. I would say like the 6 p.m. slot, because that's when everyone's like getting off of work and getting ready to enjoy their day. But then you also have the 8 p.m. slot, which is also another prime time slot that we could have taken. But I don't make the rules or don't make the schedules. But they're also trying to be friendly to the Australian fans to watch it as well. So they're keeping that in mind, which is probably why it was selected at a 3 p.m. Eastern slate for 2 days, because of that very reason right there. But without further ado, let's do a quick recap of what our record looks like thus far here on 6 for 6. All right, last episode, we didn't look too great. We got 2 losses. Canada put a butt whooping on Qatar, and then Bosnia blundering to Switzerland 4-1. Those are our 2 big losses in that front. South Africa and Czechia tied, and the only victory we got was Mexico beating South Korea. What a day that was. What a goal as well. But here we're going to try to get all those 4 games to wins, maybe 1 draw and go another 3-1. But hey, we're still looking great on our season 5 record thus far. Our season 5 record is 41, 25, and 5. So I really like where we're at right now. And I know those ties are starting to grow, but once we get out of the group stage, those ties are going to start fading away. We could start talking about the MLS again, and then that will start ramping us up to college football, and that will take us from the end of August all the way through December, and that will kind of wrap up season 5 of what we got going on here on 6 for 6. But we got to start focusing on the World Cup. We got up until July 19th, so we got a month left of World Cup action and all the drama that has been building up over the past week and this week, and teams really jockeying for position to get to the knockout stage and leave the group stage. Without further ado, let's dive into our picks. So in our first slot, I would say in our 4th pick is Brazil and Haiti. Not much of a matchup going on here. I think Brazil should walk out with an easy dub, but it's the World Cup. Anything is possible. But I think this is one of those scenarios where they get off to a great lead start. The question is, does Neymar play in this game? That is very hard to tell. I know he didn't play in the first game against Morocco, and I would say he was needed. They ended up drawing in this scenario, but now they need a victory here to get past, I would say, get past Haiti and to get back at the group stage to try to advance and get out of there. But you can catch today Brazil, Haiti, group stage, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time on Fox, ladies and gentlemen. And I like Brazil. They're a team right now that has some, I'd say, dealing with the history of the nation of Brazil and being in the World Cup, but they will find a way to strike back and get that momentum that they need to advance out of the group stage. Now let's go into the third selection. We got Scotland versus Morocco. This is going to be a fun matchup. Morocco, what they did with Brazil and hanging in there makes them more dominant over Scotland. But we also got to look at and remind ourselves what Scotland did to get to this point. They beat Haiti 1-0, which was great, and great momentum going on top of that. But at the same time, this is battling for the group at this point. Since Scotland won, they're leading the group. They're not in the bottom of the cellar of this group. And winning against Morocco would be skyrocketing for Scotland. Like, that will probably put Morocco out of the picture for the group stage unless they win their last game, which will be against Haiti, which they can most likely do. So at this moment in time, Scotland wants to draw most likely with Morocco. However, they would rather take the win and get out of the group stage and being the first team to advance out of the group. That's what their motive is. But Morocco's trying to swing that back. And I think that they have a team that's physical enough and that is hungry enough to get the job done today in the group stage. So you can catch Scotland and Morocco today at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Fox. And I have Morocco winning this matchup. And the second slot, ladies and gentlemen, we got Turkey versus Paraguay. I don't think there's much recap to this and in this group because Turkey is coming off of a tough loss to Australia that put 2-0 on them. Paraguay is coming off a devastating loss from the United States, 4-1. So it's a matchup saying, can I survive in my group, or is today my day that I leave the World Cup? I like Turkey in this scenario. I think they're better than Paraguay. They will get their victory. Turkey's just has that momentum that can swing anything at the moment in time. It was tough going up against Australia. And I know a lot of people were watching that match because it was the match that everyone was kind of talking about in the early stages of the group, 100%. But now they have to survive today's match. You can't draw if you're Turkey. You got to get your win so you can advance out of the group stage. If you don't, your World Cup dreams are riding on a prayer. So you can catch Turkey versus Paraguay group stage today at 11 p.m. Eastern Time and 8 p.m. Pacific Time on Fox. And like I said, I have Turkey winning this matchup. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, the game of the week, the Stars and Stripes, the Bald Eagles of the United States will find a way to get past the Aussies, the Australians, the angry koalas, the emus, the ostriches, the kangaroos versus the bald eagle, the American alligator and crocodile, the brown bears of North America and black bears of North America coming in to defend their homeland against these Australian invaders in this classic matchup at 3 p.m. Eastern Time today, noon Pacific Time on Fox, ladies and gentlemen. The United States is riding a high off of a 4-1 victory off of Paraguay. The most amount of goals that the U.S. men have scored in a World Cup in quite some time. And Australia coming off of that 2-0 victory over Turkey. We have Clash of the Titans, but this is also battle for goal differential as well as leading the group. Winner gets the group. However, it depends on your group stage scenario, because let's say Australia loses their last game and the United States wins up their last game. Now you're fighting for point differential. Who leads that group? Who gets the first seed? So a lot of things are at stake here. It's points and the 3-point total of winning this match. So a lot's at stake here. This is going to be a fun, electric match. Keeps everyone on their toes from start to finish. I personally can't wait to see what happens today. I'll try my best to be tuning in, but I'll be at work, and I know I can throw that match on because I know a lot of people will be keen on watching the U.S. men's national team go to work against Australia. But this matchup will kind of define, like I said, this group. I think the United States need to find a way to get this victory. It's a critical victory that we can't pass up on. And if Australia gets this benefit of the doubt and wins, we are in a tough last group, and that will be against Turkey. And I don't want to be dealing with Turkey on elimination doorsteps for our third game. I'd rather be like saying, we got our 2 wins, we can advance out of the group stage, and we're A-okay, and we got the goal differential, and that is fine. It's like, I will take a draw against Turkey, but we gotta beat Australia. If not, we have to beat Turkey. Like, it's gonna get ugly to the finish. But that's how America was gotten through. We come through adversity, we fight through tough times, and we find a way to get the job done and win. Australia probably has that same backstory. As they got a tough face, they got their way through, and now they have to persevere against America on home soil. Like, you just can't get bigger than this at 3 p.m. Eastern today, noon Pacific Time on Fox. But I have the USA pulling a death-defying win, probably 1-0. If not, we're going to get a draw. That's where I'm seeing this match prediction. But let's do a quick recap, and we'll get you on out of here so you can enjoy the World Cup matchups. In the fourth slot today, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we got Brazil, Haiti group stage at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Fox, and I have Brazil winning this matchup. Next up, we have Scotland versus Morocco, group stage today at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Fox, and I have Morocco winning this matchup in this group stage. Our second slot, we have Turkey versus Paraguay, group stage today, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time on Fox, and I have Turkey winning this matchup. And like I said, the game of the week, ladies and gentlemen, is the United States versus Australia, the group stage today, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Pacific Time on Fox. And I have the Stars and Stripes finding a way to get the victory today. Like I said, last episode wasn't too keen for us. We were 1-2-1. Hopefully, we get some nice wins today with some of our matchups. I think we picked some great selections here today. And I think we'll advance our win total to have a very dominant season 5. And I think I like where we're going on this front. And like I said, our season 5 record is 41, 25, and 5. This has been an interesting World Cup. A lot of great storylines, a lot of great stories where Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't able to get the hat trick. Portugal tied, and we were all shocked about it. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this group is going to be interesting because I didn't think Portugal was going to tie with the Congo. So Ronaldo has a very tough World Cup campaign, but Messi getting a hat trick is second to none. So, like I said, this is the World Cup at its finest. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, go out and support your local restaurants during the World Cup. It helps keep the money in the economy and helps grow that local business too. So make sure you go in, support your local bars. You know, even if it's a dive bar, like go and support it. Support your breweries while you're out there. Support your sports bars. But please don't go to Buffalo Wild Wings. Don't eat at McDonald's. Don't eat at like Pizza Hut and all that stuff. Like go to somewhere that's local and that makes good food and that's in your backyard. If you choose to drink, please be responsible. Please get a designated driver. We don't want you to have an accident and take somebody's life. We want you to be smart out there. So please have a designated driver, Lyft or Uber, or even walk because it's such a nice day in some parts of the country. Go and walk to your local bar if you're close by. If not, take public transportation to get there and just have a good time out there in the environments and enjoy the watch parties because it's a really great atmosphere. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this episode of 6 for 6, and we'll catch you next time. So long for now. Bye-bye.